office hour. I'm doing a double major on statistics and mathematics at University of Toronto. And today we'll be covering some commonly asked mathematics questions at both the high school level and college levels. And if you need some homework help or tutoring, check out the links in the description below. So now let's jump into our session. Okay. So the first question, it asks what is the definition of conjugate in math? Okay. So here are a couple things I want to mention. So a math conjugate is formed by changing the sign between two terms. In binomial. So coming up will be an example. So I would say the conjugate for x plus y will be, oops, just need to adjust the screen a little bit. So the conjugate for x plus y will be x minus y. And so same thing, the conjugate for x minus y will be x plus y. So as you can see from the example, we just simply change the plus sign to minus sign. Yep. So when we are calculating with the real numbers, let's say 10x plus 2, the conjugate of 10x plus 2 will be 10x minus 2. And with 5x, let's say plus 4, will be 5x minus 4. So since we know the definition for conjugate is, we're going to develop a little bit. So if we want to take the conjugate of x plus 2 and x minus 2, and then we multiply them together. What we'll have is x plus 2 times x minus 2. And if we do the calculation, this part will give us as x squared minus 2x plus 2x plus minus 4, which will be x squared minus 4. And notice that the two terms, positive 2x and negative 2x, they cancel each other during the simplifying process. So x squared minus 4 actually is the only terms that is left, and which is also a difference of two squares. So in fact, we also have a formula, I'll write it down here, which is when we use a squared minus b squared, which is in this case x will be a and 4 will be 2, because 4 can also be written as 2 squared, is equal to a plus b times a minus b, which is very useful when we're solving the problem. So let's just do another example. So if we are having a question like 1 over 2 minus root 3, and in this case, if we want to rationalize this fraction, we will need to multiply the conjugate of 2 minus root 3, which will be 2 plus root 3. But since we need to maintain the same alpha fraction, so we need to do the same thing for the numerator. And this will give us 2 plus root 3 over 2 squared minus root 3 squared, which will be 2 plus root 3, 4 minus 3. And which will give us 2 plus root 3 as our final example. So that's pretty much what we have for the first question. So we'll just leave a comment there. So coming up, we have our next example. So it's asking, what is the formula for the integral angle of a regular polygon? So I'll be drawing some diagrams first. So let's start with a triangle. So for triangle, the integral angle of it will be 180 degrees. And if we have this, actually when we want to calculate the integral angle, we can divide this into 4 triangles. So it'll be triangle 1, triangle 2, triangle 3, and triangle 4. And each triangle, we know the integral angle is 180 degrees. So we pretty much just use 4 times 180, which give us 720 degrees. So let's summarize this. For this column, I'll name it edges and angle, or you see degrees. So if we have 4 edges, that's going to be 360 degrees, which is also equal to 180 times 2. And in this case, just going to be a square. And if it's a pentagon, which means they have 5 edges, the degrees will be 540, which can also be written as 180 times 3. And if we have 6 edges, that would be 720 degrees, which can also be written as 180 times 4. So we can find the pattern. So the sum of integral angle will be n minus 2 times 180, where n is the number of edges. Yep. So as we can see here, the sum of all integral angles equal to 180 degrees times n minus 2, where n is the number of sides of regular polygon. So we'll leave a comment there. Good work. Oops. Correct. Okay, so for our next question, we need to solve the derivative of e to the exponent of a negative x. Right. So in other words, we can rewrite the question as when f is equal to e to the power of negative x, what f dash will be. So before jumping into this question, I would like to first generally talk about the derivatives. So if we have f is equal to e to the power of x, so in this case, the derivative of f will be still e to the power of x. And also for this part, it can also be written as d over dx. It's just another way of interpreting the derivative. So if we write d over dx times e to the negative x and e negative x with apostrophe, these are all means the derivative of e to the power of a negative x. And second thing I want to mention is there exists a chain rule in this question. So if we let f is equal to e to the power of fx, the derivative of f will be equal to e to the power of fx times derivative of fx. So in this question, fx is equal to negative x. So if we want to take the derivative of it, which will be, in this case, will be negative 1. Right. So coming back to the question, if f is equal to e to the power of negative x, then we have the derivative of e to the power of negative x will be e to the power of negative x times the chain rule, which in this case will be negative 1. So our answer will be negative 1 e to the power of negative x. And I'll just share a little bit more about some common function with its derivatives. So if we have, let's say this fx, and that's the derivative. So for any constant, the derivative of it will be 0. And if we have x, just a single x, as our function, the derivative will be 1. Because we can consider here's a invisible 1 in front of x. And coming up next, we have kx. And in this case, it's just going to be, oh, never mind. It should be x squared. And in this case, we need to take the 2 to the front. So we have 2x. And we need to minus 1 for the exponent part, which will be 2 minus 1, and which is 1. And we can just write as 2x. And for root x, this is going to be 1 over 2x to the exponent of 1 over 2. Since we can rewrite the root x as x to the exponent of 1 over 2. And for the very last one, we just mentioned about, so the ex, which the derivative of ex will still be ex itself. So the answer for this question is negative a to the exponent of negative x. Good work. Correct. Okay. So for our next question, we need to solve the derivative of ln x. Okay. So for this one, according to our formula, we just need to take the common derivative of it, which in this case will be ln x. The derivative of ln x will be x 1 over x. And I would just like to expand a little bit more. If we have, let's say, ln 2x, if fx is equal to ln 2x. So in this case, when we look inside the parentheses, it's not only just x, but also it's a function, which in this case will be 2x. So we need to take the derivative of this. So in this case, the derivative of it will be 2x. 2x over 1. So answer is correct.